It's been sort of, for me, it's just follow your nose. One thing begets another, you know.
I believe you.
Yeah,
No, everything
it's
I've
the
read.
biblical thing.
Yes.
But always have something to do. Don't sit at home doing nothing, you know, just if an opportunity presents itself, take it.
Of all none has played in modern history than London, mother city of the British Empire. An immense metropolis of some 700 square miles, with a population of 8 million, it has survived invasions by Romans and Saxons, Danes and Normans in the 4,000-odd years since it was founded. Today, battered but indomitable, London is still in the process of recovering from the greatest ordeal of its long history.
I am talking to you today because I want to ask you all to help in making this country of ours more prosperous.
For folks like me in the bakery business, bread rationing started with a big question mark. We didn't like it, and here we are saying so.
Andy Roberts, welcome to your kitchen.
Thank you. You're welcome to my kitchen as well, Nick.
Thank you, sir. You were born in Hatch End, which is a marvellous place. I mean, I lived there and...
I mean, it's fair to say that I don't remember being born, but, you know...
No.
I know Headstone Lane, Hatch End, which is where I was born. Born in a cottage hospital, which is no longer there. It's now a block of flats. But
Okay.
my mum was put there, I don't know, under what circumstances, I don't know, just after the war.
What did your parents actually do? Did they both work?
Yes, for my entire life. My dad was in the Navy, and when he came out of the Navy in 1945 or early 46, he went to work for the post office. In their head office, he was a solicitor. He worked in the legal department for the post office when it was a public corporation, so he was basically part of the civil service. And he spent his life very unglamorously prosecuting bent postmasters. That was his gig, and he did very well at it, and, you know, retired on a big fat index-linked pension, and that was his life. And he was not, I think, in that sense, ambitious in the way that I and my brother both have been, I think.
Explains why you took a career in law.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Well, you didn't, did you, in the end? But
well, I didn't progress with it. I did qualify. In the sense, I got a university degree. I have an LLB, which is a Bachelor of Laws from Liverpool.
Was your father ever frustrated that you didn't pursue?
My parents were both. I think my mum was secretly really chuffed that I did what I did, because she always lent that way. She was quite artistic, but she was a very remarkable woman in many ways. She also worked. She had been, in her youth, a high flyer. She was a secretarial grade type person. She worked at the Foreign Office. And then she got recruited to be Stanley Baldwin's personal secretary. And she worked at Number 10 through the abdication crisis in 1936. So she knows everything about, or knew everything, she's gone now, she knew everything about that. But unfortunately, and she was very sporting. She won trophies. There are silver cups upstairs, you know, for Foreign Office tennis trophy, 1935, Miss Kane, you know, Miss Kane was her surname. But then she had an absolute disaster. She caught polio in her mid-20s, she was 26, 27, and was very impaired by it. And so it took her a long time to recover any kind of mobility in her right side. She had some pioneering surgery. And she met my dad on a train, I think 10 days before he went off to war. And they married after 10 days, and he went off to war very soon after. My brother was born before the war, or before his war, and I was born after it. But he was away in the Navy for the best part of 5 years and never came back. He was in the Mediterranean and he never made it back. So she was at home looking after my brother through that. But then what happened afterwards, once I was back, my earliest memories are not really of the family as a family. I don't really have any recollection of that. We'd have holidays together and things like that. But my mum worked from the earliest days. I was brought up by a housekeeper who was called Mrs. Wakerley, who I loved very dearly, an oldish lady. And my mum was, for a long time, the head of filing. Remember that? at the Institute of Electrical Engineers, which is on the Strand. It's a big building next to Shellmax House, which is now the headquarters of Penguin, but for then it was the headquarters of Shell Oil. And head of filing. So in those days, when it was typing and carbon paper, and everything was in quadruplicate and all the rest of it, and you kept one copy in the filing department, and she was very good at that. She was very organised at that sort of thing.
Did your mum play an instrument?
No, well, she couldn't play anything because of her polio. She had played piano. She liked music. She just doted on the musical side of my growing up. I mean,
she took you to the Promenade concerts,
Yeah.
didn't she? Regularly?
Yeah.
And what really struck me was that you asked to play the violin, or for lessons to play the violin.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that was partly because you were in love with it, or because you wanted to please your mother as well. Or...
No sense of pleasing my mum. I was pleasing myself. But what it was that because of the experience of her taking me to the proms, and it was not fancy, let's buy 2 Swiss seats and go to the proms. It was spur of the moment stuff, and which is what's wonderful about the proms, and Sal and I did it, and I've instilled it in my children as well. It is the most wonderful season, proms. And you can go on a whim, on the day, decide, let's go to the prom. And she would take me, and we'd sit in the gallery, which is then and now is the cheapest possible way of promenading. We would take a blanket and sit on the floor on the blanket and listen to wonderful stuff. And I'd press my head up against the stone balustrade and peer through. And I just figured out that the violins had the most to do, basically. I mean, any orchestral piece, mostly it's, the fiddles play throughout. Sometimes, you'll have a feature for the wind or the brass or percussion and whatever else you have. And obviously there are soloists, but the spine, the backbone of the music was just masses of fiddles scraping away. And I just thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be one of them because they're the busiest. They're doing it all. So I asked to play violin, and I started having lessons at the age of 9.
And you won a scholarship, of course, to Feltham School.
Felstead.
Sorry?
Feltham is in Middlesex. Felstead
Yes, I know Feltham better.
Is in
than
darkest Essex. Yeah.
But of course, you didn't escape the influence of your dad with the Crazy Gang, did you? And
No.
I love the fact that eventually the music from your mum, if you like, and the comedy from your dad kind of merged into you in some.
Well, I think they both like that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's true. My dad was he loved musical. That was his thing. It was very much on its last legs by the time I, at the age of sort of 9, 10, 11, was being taken to see things by him. But he really adored that stuff. But even family outings, I was taken to see At the Drop of a Hat, which was Flanders and Swan. I was taken to see Salad Days. I was taken to see the original production of My Fair Lady with Julie Andrews and Stanley Holloway, and all of that. I mean, it was just, they loved musicals as well. I remember my mum taking me to the pictures to see Oklahoma when it came out in the 50s. So I was well served. I mean, I was filled up with entertainment. They liked that stuff. The Crazy Gang were extraordinary, actually. They've always stuck with me. I didn't understand most of it. I mean, the double entendre were mostly went over my head, which is probably a good thing. But I knew things like when I can't remember which of the pair it was. It was like either Norton and Gold or Nervo and Knox. So they do this thing where they'd suddenly appear in a box and talk back to the stage. And there was a Western sketch going on the stage. Cowboys. With Bud Flanagan and Monsieur Eddie Gray with cowboy hats on. There's some nonsense going on the stage. And at some point, one of these, the couple, because it was 3 comedy pairings that made up the Crazy Gang. One of them in the box stood up and went, "Marshall," and he got this star right on it. And the other one stood up and went, "Snellgrove."
That's so bad it's good.
It's a very but that was the whole theme of the Crazy Gang. Of course, it was very, very low comedy. But that was just remembering that. Now, of course, Marshall Snellgrove was long gone. Probably subsumed by John Lewis or something like that. But it was a huge department store in London at that point. But I thought it was hysterical. As a kid, I totally got what they were doing, and that informs your taste, didn't it?